Welcome everybody to another edition of the Hurry Up. I'm your host, Don Juan Sports App. You might be asking, hey, Don Juan, where you been? You haven't been around. All this stuff's going on. Well, let's recap. Rangers, Devils. Devils going to Stanley Cup against the LA Kings. It's going to be a good hockey game. East Coast versus West Coast. Take it as it is. Rangers, you should be proud of yourself. You know, I thought you were going to get there. You got to the Eastern Conference Finals. You did your best. And you came up short, but it's all right. It's all right. You got a lot to build on. You got a lot of young players. There's a lot of promise for this Ranger team. Now, getting over to the basketball playoffs. Yes, Miami advanced against the Pacers, who kind of woke sleeping giants in Miami. They played physical. They didn't know what to do. Good for them. They made it. That team's going to go places next year. They got a good organization. They have a good head on their shoulders from Larry Bird. That team is going to go places. Philadelphia against Boston. Philadelphia, you did a great job. You brought the Celtics to the limit. And who knows? Who knows? If you were playing Miami, maybe there'd be a shot. Maybe there'd be a shot. But those two young teams, I want to give credit to Indiana and Philadelphia for those two teams. Because they both brought their series to Game 5 and 6. Game 7 and at least to Game 5 and 6 for Miami. So those teams worked in the East to get to where they are. Now we flip over to the West. San Antonio just walked all over the Clippers. Walked all over the Clippers. And now they're facing OKC, who, by the way, beat the Lakers in 5 games. And they beat the OKC Thunder by about 3 points. It wasn't really that bad. It was bad for OKC because they couldn't hit shots down the stretch. We'll see how that plays out in Game 2. But they did not hit shots down the stretch. And if this team is supposed to win, they just got to hit shots down the stretch. They played great defense. We'll see what happens when they bring in Serge Ibaka. Manu Ginobili is playing like he has played in the past couple of championship runs, where he's been the difference maker, where he gets ISO'd against a guy who can't really defend him. He's got so much in his arsenal. He can pass, he can shoot, you know, he can drive to the hole. He's got everything you want in a basketball player. The only thing is he gets injured. But if he plays, coming off the bench or even starting, if he plays out of his mind like he did in Game 1, this series will be over in 5. But I don't think he will. I think you can't discredit the Thunder. They've done a great job to get him here. I think it's going to be an exciting Game 2. As for Miami, you're beating up on a Boston team that's pretty old. But let's be honest. We can't count out Boston just yet. Why? They've got savvy veterans. They've got guys who know how to play with injuries. They've got championship mentality. That's the difference between Boston and a lot of teams. They beat Philadelphia because of their championship pedigree, because of their experience. Plus, I think Boston has to man up and win one game at home, because I think they're going to win all their home games. I really do against Miami. Why? Because if you look at this team, they play better at home. You know, the role players play better at home. They don't play that well on the road. So we'll see guys like Brandon Bass, who had 30 points in one of the games at home against Philadelphia. Let's see how he does when he's at home. But right now, your focus is Game 2. Now, people say it could be a product of them being tired and a product of the officials. We'll get into the officials in a second. It's just a product of, you know, them being tired, and it's your first game. It's your first chess match. You guys haven't played in a while. You're laying down the foundation to see. Now Game 2, and from here on out, is adjustment period time. See how many times you can adjust, see the little nuances that you pick up while watching film. Let's talk about the officials, though. The officials got on my nerves calling the technical fouls, which has been glorified over and over again. What I'm not worried about is not necessarily the technicals, even though they are, but you got to be consistent on when you make calls. If you go down the court and LeBron James, yes, he's a superstar, gets a swipe on the elbow like this, a graze, and my man in the Celtics, Petrus, gets his hand bent backwards, you know, then where is the continuity? And that's what the problem is with the officials. Yes, they made some bad calls, but you gotta make consistent calls. This is the playoffs. This is the playoffs. You gotta let them play a little bit more. You gotta have some leeway when it comes to fouling, because this game, everything is on the line here. These guys are playing their hearts out. You can't just tee them up for emotion, and you can't tee them up. And I know that a lot has gone on with flagrants and everything like this. You want the game to look bad. Let these guys play. This is playoff time. Those who are old school will be old school, and they'll learn and they'll police themselves. So don't ruin the game by making a false call. Yes, did it affect Boston? Maybe a little bit. Because if you look at the dynamic of the two teams that played, OKC and Boston, when they were in foul trouble, they weren't as aggressive on defense because a lot of their guys had 4 or 5 fouls. When you have 4 or 5 fouls and you have 8 or 9 minutes left in the game, you can't really do much because now they're calling ticky-tack fouls. Anything can be a foul. So you really worry, and it really does hamper the mind when you play and you officiate like this. All right, that's all the time we got for now. Enjoy the games. Stanley Cup playoff starts tomorrow. Game 2 is this week for OKC San Antonio, as well as Miami and Boston. Let's see if these two teams in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, who are down 0-1, can make adjustments in time the series. I'm your Don Warner Sports, Adam, and this has been The Hurry Up.